Warning, this episode contains brain food that will lead to improved emotional and social intelligence. Thanks for tuning in to Harvesting Happiness today for a healthy serving of consciously prepared brain food. This is Lisa Cypers-Kamen, your host. For more than 13 years, I've been handcrafting these sound ideas for better well-being. Each week, I love spotlighting diverse thinkers and doers who are contemporary trendsetters and change agents, devoting their lives to creating a better world in which to live. I invite you to listen up and change the way you think about human happiness. Our award-winning content is fresh, optimistic, and purpose-driven media that promotes well-being from the inside out. Alrighty then, let's dive in. This episode offers psychosocial education designed to inspire and motivate our listeners. The information provided does not constitute a therapeutic relationship nor a substitute for professional mental health care. If you are experiencing a mental health crisis, call 911, go to your nearest emergency room, or for listeners in the United States, text 988 for the National Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are. Thanks for joining me on today's show, where you will learn about adulting, leaving the nest, and transitioning to independence. My guest today is Julie Lythcott-Haims, who holds degrees from Stanford, Harvard Law, and the California College of the Arts. She believes in humans and is deeply interested in what gets in our way. Julie is a mentor, activist, and author of the New York Times bestseller, How to Raise an Adult, the critically acclaimed and award-winning prose poetry memoir, Real American, which illustrates her experience as a Black and biracial person in white spaces, as well as Your Turn, How to Be an Adult, which has been called a groundbreakingly frank guide to adulthood. Welcome, Julie. I am eager to have this discussion as we help usher our new graduates on to their paths towards their own independent lives.
Lisa, I feel the same. Thank you to you and to everyone listening to us today.
Yes. Well, let's get into this, the concept and the practice of adulting.
Yeah.
What is it?
What is it?
What is it? We're still trying, or we're working on it in process.
I think that's a really good point. Let's start there. A lot of people seem to think adulthood is a destination you arrive at and then you're good. And I reframe it as a way of living. So you're never done. It's not an arrival point. It's sort of how do you behave along the way? And it's got a few basic components. You're in charge of yourself, more or less. You feel you have agency. You can do stuff. You have a good deal of resilience because life has taught you that things will go wrong and you know you're going to be okay and bounce back after a little examination of your feelings and thinking about what to do differently next time. And, you get to craft your own way, the jobs you want, the relationships you want. You know that you're, largely self-reliant, but you also know that humans are everything, that our human relationships are what really determine the quality of our life. So as you're actively pursuing your own dreams, you're also trying to get really good at interacting with your fellow human. That's it in a nutshell. Doesn't that sound amazing?
It does sound amazing. It sounds amazing. And, when we think of it like a mindful practice, and, there is no perfect mindful practice or no perfect way to be mindful. There's the practice of the doing and the being.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I take away from your
100%,
description.
Absolutely. And, I love that you said that because I'm 54 and I've had a mindfulness practice now taught to me by a very wise practitioner back when I was 39, which really helped me come, I was outwardly successful, but inwardly self-loathing or self-doubting because of all the things I'd been told about people like me. I'm Black and biracial. I was just constantly battling to not be the stereotypes and perform and prove that I was worthy of other people's approval. And all of that, as you know, is just sitting atop a bedrock of self-loathing. If you're constantly seeking other people's approval to know that you're okay. And developing a mindfulness practice allowed me to appreciate where all of those insecurities and triggers were coming from, and allowed me to really come to terms with, who I am and who I want to be, and to become infused with an acceptance and love of the self so that I take that self with me wherever I go. This is, a theme I write about it in Your Turn, the new book. It's like when you belong to yourself, when you do the work to undo whatever is causing those insecurities, when you truly love yourself, you belong to yourself, therefore you belong everywhere because you take that self-loving person with you wherever you go. It almost forms this protective barrier between you and, the book club or the conversation at work or the conversation at Thanksgiving or whatever is challenging. It's like if you love yourself, you're far less susceptible to the darts and barbs coming from family and friends and strangers.
This is the greatest undertold story.
Yeah.
Like, as you're talking, I'm thinking, this is undertold. We don't spend enough time of telling this type of empowering story to not only be like a good adult, but to be a good person.
Yeah. I think you're right. It's undertold and it's so innately available to all of us. If we could all just get that little bit of guidance around, well, how do you begin to know the self? How do you begin to unpack what's hurting you? How do you begin to replace the insecurity or the self-doubt or self-loathing with self-love? And my answer is when I did the mindfulness work with a coach, Mary Ellen Myers, who will be one of the 5 people whose faces I see as I die. I'm certain of it. If there's any truth to that, she was like, notice when you're about to act out, when you're about to be really emotional or big with your voice. That was the critique of me in the workplace. Of course, angry Black woman, right? Stereotype. But, she's like, let's not forget the stereotype. She said, let's not pander to that. But is it working for you? The bigness, the emotion, the jumping in and, my litigator personality. I was a lawyer for a time. And I said, it's not working. In academia, it's very collegial and collaborative. And so when I'm big with my emotion, whether it's positive or negative, I end up being sort of told I need to apologize. And so it's not working for me. And she said, if I teach you how to notice what's coming up in you, so then you can decide what type of response you want to have rather than it feeling like an impulse or a reflex that you don't have control over, might that be a way to strengthen your toolkit? And I said, yeah, absolutely. So I began to pay attention to what just happened such that I'm feeling the need to call this person out or punch them in the face or just be like real dramatic. And I learned that the triggers were, if somebody was questioning me, it goes back to, well, you're Black, you're not smart, right? If somebody was disagreeing with me, it was all, that's the location of my self-loathing. Like I have to prove I'm Black, but smart. And that's what childhood and young adulthood had taught me. So when I began to see that all of the triggers were that, I began to be able to say to myself, wow, okay, yeah, I began to have this self-loving, like, okay, that just happened. Do you want to think about it? Do you want to say something? Is now the time? What do you want to say? I began to slow the thinking down, become somebody who is more in charge of my emotions, not to silence myself, but frankly, to choose my moments and choose my language so that I could be more impactful and have the kind of outcomes I was ultimately seeking. And when I came to terms with the why behind the triggers and said them all out loud to my coach, that I had hated, who I was and was just trying to be what white folks valued, I cried ugly, snotty tears. And it was that unburdening of the shame of holding those thoughts about myself and my people, saying it out loud to my own psyche, saying it out loud to Mary Ellen, released the shame from me. And all of that stuff left me. It was like a boulder was thrown into my psyche. And, when the waters settled, it was the waters of self-love.
Wow. I'm imagining that sort of catharsis. And I'm also at the same time, I'm thinking, well, for a young person who's just trying to figure all this out, to have the courage to look at oneself in this way is mind-blowing. And there are not many people in their early 20s who do, and yet there are some that have gotten there.
And I think, Lisa, Gen Z is better at it than any of us ever were because they've grown up with, what in some places is verboten social emotional learning. The rest of us know That's a way to understand and regulate your own emotions so that you're not an asshole around others and you can be tender to yourself. And Gen Z gets that better than anybody. So, and they're more aware of and adept around differences, whether they're race-based, ethnicity-based, nationality, language, or neurodivergence, or you have a mental health situation. Gen Z is better equipped to appreciate the various aspects of their own identities that they carry, either by choice or by, fiat. Right? This is who I am. They've been raised to appreciate and respect differences.
Yes.
In a far greater manner than any prior generation. So I actually have a lot of hope that the folks, who are younger, who are in their late teens and early 20s, have a greater capacity than you and I had at their age to kind of love that self in its fullness with its foibles and quirks far sooner than we were able to.
And embrace their differences.
Right.
And their truths.
Yeah.
I think that is true. And although as a mom of 2 young adults, I also see in them the terror and joy of fending for themselves, which is something that you write about.
Yeah, it is terrifying. Fending means looking after the basics for yourself, your body, your bills, your belongings. It's a lot. And it's always been a lot, but I think in our modern era where many of us as parents, and I'll certainly own it personally, I have done this, I overattended my kids. I overhelped. I overmanaged. I went, if there were 10 steps to a process, I did 7 of them or 8 of them. If there were 3 steps to a process, I did 2.5 of them. It was like my kids just had to show up and do the final step. And that's, I overhelped, which meant they were less prepared to fend than somebody might have been if their parents had had the wherewithal to kind of be off to the side watching just in case. You don't want your kid to set themselves on fire the first time they're using the stove. Right? We're supposed to be there to prevent their death, but short of that, we're supposed to delight in them learning the various things. And so the more we do that with our kids, the more they're able to fend in that first apartment or that first new community they live in outside our homes after high school.
My partner always teases me about pre-chewing their food. He's like, do not pre-chew the food. They're not baby birds,
I love that. Exactly. I love that. Mm-hmm.
And it does cause a laugh.
But to your point, like fending is scary. And I think we want to protect our kids from scary feelings. And anyone who studies anxiety in children will tell you that overprotecting them from the scary feelings foments anxiety in them.
Yeah.
It's like we're saying, yes, this is so terrifying. We need to curate the environment so you never experience it, instead of like, wow, I see this is tough. Do you want to talk about it? I love you. I'm here. Pause. I have confidence that I know this is hard now, but I know one day it's going to be easier, and I'm rooting for you and I love you so much. Like we're supposed to empathize and be optimistic instead of curate their environment by pre-chewing the food.
Or fix it. The withholding the need to fix. I mean, and this is how parents can help turn out really good adults too. Like,
right.
Just bite your tongue. Sometimes we need to bite our tongues.
Amen.
We need to take a break. And when we come back, we will continue the conversation with Julie Lythcott-Haims. To learn more, please visit julielythcott-haims.com. On Twitter, it's actually all the same, which makes my job so easy in this moment, at JLYTHCOTTHAIMS on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Here comes the pause. I'll be right back. Hang on, before we take that break, let's talk about the deliciousness of warm weather outdoor activities like pool parties, hiking, barbecues, and more. If you're anything like me, with all that time out in the sun, our scalps and hair need some serious TLC, making right now the perfect time to start Nutrafol. Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement, with over 1 million people seeing thicker, stronger, faster growing hair with less shedding. Just like our skin, the condition of our hair reflects our overall health. Both external and internal factors can impact the way our hair looks, feels, and grows. Physician-formulated and drug-free, Nutrafol supports healthy hair growth from within to target the key root causes of thinning, including stress, hormones, environment, nutrition, lifestyle, and metabolism through whole body health. In clinical studies, 86% of women saw improved growth after taking Nutrafol supplements twice daily for 6 months, and 72% of men saw more scalp coverage after 6 months. Nutrafol is my go-to source to help keep my strands strong from the inside out. I've been using Nutrafol religiously for more than 2 years. Shedding has been significantly reduced. My hair is now thicker and healthier because of Nutrafol. Plus, some remarkable side benefits include better sleep, improved stress response, and a significant reduction of those pesky menopause symptoms, including hot flashes. No matter your lifestyle or stage of life, Nutrafol is a great solution that targets the root causes of thinning and supports hair growth from within. Nourishing your hair with a growth routine is simple. Get Nutrafol sent right to your door with easy online purchasing, no prescriptions or doctor visits required. Automated deliveries ensure you'll never miss a day, and you'll see results in 3 to 6 months. Get results you can run your fingers through. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering our listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com and enter the promo code HH. Find out why over 4,500 healthcare professionals and stylists recommend Nutrafol for healthier hair. Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol.com, promo code HH. That's Nutrafol.com, promo code HH. Now let's take that pause. We'll be right back. Each day we have the intellectual freedom to be happy or the liberty to be miserable, regardless of external circumstance. If you or someone you know is struggling with mental health, seek support because good psychological health is vital in the achievement of a happy and satisfying life. Visit harvestinghappiness.com for psychosocial educational resources to boost emotional and social intelligence. Like what you hear on Harvesting Happiness? Sharing is caring. Pay it forward by spreading the word to your community and through social media. Subscribe, listen, and share hundreds of downloadable episodes from wherever you get your podcasts. Connect with and follow us on most social media channels. And we're back, continuing the conversation with my guest today, Julie Lythcott-Haims. We're talking about adulting, leaving the nest, and transitioning to independence. Let's get back to it. And Julie, I'm going to share with you and the world how much you've made my day with this conversation, because I'm in it, right, with these young adults.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
I'm just in it. And it's a good reminder that we're in the practice.
Yeah. We are in the practice. My son is 22, about to be 23. My daughter is about to be 21. I have made every mistake I critique in others. And it was really my vantage point as a college dean at Stanford. In the era when helicopter parenting was just reaching the university shores, I was seeing on my campus what folks were seeing all over on every campus, which was parents overchewing their kids' food still at the college level. And my empathy for young adults, my rooting for them to figure out, what am I good at? What do I love? How am I going to craft a life in furtherance of what I know to be true of myself? That's what I came to work every day to advocate for. And so when I saw parents overreaching, whether it was, you have to major in econ or I'll divorce your mom, you have to be pre-med, you have to be engineering, or the more kind looking, let me help you with everything. Do you have this? Do you have that? Have you done this? Have you turned in that? Whether it was the sort of stern authoritarianism or the very helpful best friendism, I was like, yo, when are these young people going to go off leash and be able to chart this path and stumble along the way, which is the only way they get stronger and more confident. And that's that fierce advocacy for young adults, for the right of young adults to make their own way, is what led me to write the parenting book 7 years ago. But this new book, Your Turn, is squarely for young adults. It's me in their corner, rooting for them, validating them, believing in them, telling them some hard truths. But ultimately, it's all in furtherance of them leading this one adult life in the way they design and they desire.
And that is really empowering. Like when you can turn to your young adult, your child, or somebody who's close to you and say, this is your journey. This is actually all yours. And I'm here for you. And when they fail and when they succeed and everything in between, to be their champion. That's our role, not to do it for them,
That's right. Not to do it for them, to be their champion. I really visualize it as parents stay in your lane.
Yes.
Don't be in their lane where you're either, look, there ain't much, just picture a track. There is not much room in a lane for more than one human. Okay. So if you're in your kids' lane, you are either behind them with your hand at their back, pushing them forward, or you're up ahead with a tether between you where you're dragging them along behind you. That's not helpful or healthy. We need to be in our own lane,
Yeah.
slightly off to the side of them, near enough so that there is, if disaster is befalling them, we can use our age and stage and privilege and wherewithal and skills to help them out of a true fix. But largely, we're meant to be nearby, rooting for them, clapping, cheering. They know they're believed in, trusted, and loved. Every time we step back and say, "You've got this," we're telling them, "I believe you can," instead of the opposite message when we overhelp, which is, "I don't think you can, therefore I need to."
It's interesting you say that. I have a daughter who's going to be 25 in August, and our relationship has gotten significantly better when I have just acknowledged those things that she has done on her own. And I keep saying to her, I am so proud of you. And I know that no matter what, you have the capacity to figure this out.
Yeah.
And
beautiful.
it changed everything between us.
Beautiful. It sounds like maybe you were a bit of a fixer before.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, me too,
Yes.
Lisa, me too. My daughter is the one who's about to be 21. And, she called us from college in the middle of the first full pandemic school year. And she was living off campus because she didn't want to be kicked out of a dorm again. And she called us, and she only calls us when she's got a problem. So that's part of the challenge. And she's like, "I haven't hooked up my internet. I can't track down my landlord. I have to register my scooter with the DMV out here in North Carolina. And I already have a paper due, and I'm just stressed. And I could hear it. And I was like, "Oh my God, baby, I love you. You don't need to register the scooter now." She's like, "Mom, I know. Just mom, I'm not asking for your help." And I was like, I did it again. Of course I want to help. I have a lot of answers. I've lived life. How would I not help myself?
Stuff.
But the help is, wow, that sounds like so much.
Yes.
Man, you're dealing with a lot. Let us know if you need ideas or what have you, but we're also just here for you to vent. We love you so much. And then shut up and let them say
Yes.
What they need to say. And if they want advice, they will ask you for it.
They will. I mean, it was a game changer when I realized that I need to stop fixing.
Yeah.
That it wasn't actually so helpful, and just go work on my own handbook, go do my thing.
Well, I'm going to tell you another quick story. My son is the one who's about to be 23. He's living with us throughout the pandemic. And one day, say a year and a half ago, I was making dinner. I get stressed when I make a fancy dinner. I don't know why. I get very anxious. I like everything to come out on time, whether it's, 5 dishes or 12. I want them all hot and on the table.
Right. Plated properly.
And so I schedule it all. I have it all, like, whatever. That's my thing. And he was making a snack. This was like a couple of hours before dinner, which was totally fine. And he asks me, I'm in the middle of measuring or whatever. And he's like, "Mom, do I put this in the toaster oven at 375 or 400? And I was like, frustrated that this then 20 or 21-year-old didn't know how to use a toaster oven. It's not that precise. Come on. And I sort of snapped at him, or my face got snappish. I turned away with my mindfulness practice. I said, "Julie, what's going on?" And I said, "I'm stressed because I'm in the kitchen." "Why is that?" "I don't know, but I'm really curious." "Why do you think you just snapped at Sawyer?" "Because I'm embarrassed that he's asking me this how-to question an 8-year-old might ask." "Why do you think he doesn't know the answer?" "Because I've always micromanaged him in the kitchen." I'm having this dialogue with myself. I turn around to Sawyer and I apologize. I say, "Sawyer, I'm so sorry. I get stressed in the kitchen. I don't really know why, but it has nothing to do with you." Number 2, what I want to say is, here's the answer. There is no answer. You have to try and see what happens. If the right answer is 375, but you've put it in at 400, it's going to start to burn. You're going to smell that. If the answer is it's supposed to be 400 and you only put it in at 375, it's going to take longer than you think. The only way to know the answer for this particular thing you're trying to make is to try it and pay attention and see what happens. And he smiled the minute I apologized. And then he smiled as I gave him this advice. And then we just went our separate ways and parallel played in the kitchen.
And, as you're telling this story, I think this is a metaphor for life. How do you know to do your life at 375 or 400? Well, you pick one temperature and see how it goes.
Right. It's
I
exactly
mean,
right.
isn't that is the handbook right there?
It's the handbook. However, I've written this incredibly long book to try to give people advice. And let me tell you, it's part memoir, my own struggles, things that I've learned the hard way. It's part self-help lists, like people like lists, the 16 ways to develop good character, for example. But then every chapter concludes with stories of humans from diverse backgrounds, diverse in their mental health, diverse in their neurocognition stuff, diverse in their ethnicity and race and how educated they are, how much money they have, where they grew up. And it's my way of saying everybody matters. Everybody's got a different path. Learn from the stories of others. And in so doing, see that we're all so similar. See that our differences are important. And yet, fundamentally, we have so much in common, which is we just want to be able to make our way through this life, have relationships, make meaning in our work, whatever that is, and be treated with dignity and kindness by everybody else.
Yeah, it is, the family of humanity. I think everybody wants those things,
Yeah.
that is where we are all alike. There's nobody who said, no, I don't think I want to have a good life,
Right.
Everybody says this.
Yeah.
We are nearly out of time, and I want to touch upon something that you write in your turn, How to Be an Adult. And you talk about getting out of neutral.
Yeah.
And the tragedy of unused potions. That was
Yeah, I think there's a lot of young adults who are stuck because they've been told that there's a right track, which there isn't. They've been told keep your options open, which is just to put you in a paralyzed state of anxiety. And so get out of neutral is kind of the hinge of the book where I'm saying whatever's got you stuck, whatever's holding you back, it's time to examine that and move those things out of the way. Whether it's the designers in Silicon Valley who say, fail your way forward, or the improv actors who say, just start anywhere. There's all of this wisdom that says forward momentum is much more important than like the perfect choice. There is no perfect choice. There's just what feels like a really good next step for you right now.
Love that. And the inaction is an action and a choice as well. So
exactly.
You're saying that you pick one, pick a door, go there, check it out.
Right. There's no right door. And these kids, of course, have been raised often in communities like yours and mine, where it's been a lockstep path through childhood. You have to do this in order to get that, in order to get that. Everyone's told them there is a right class. There is a right activity. And I'm here saying that doesn't apply to adulthood. It's a mysterious, wide open landscape of almost infinite possibility. And you get to decide through some trial and error and figuring things out. You learn about the world. You learn about yourself. You keep going. And that's the ultimate message is keep going. You're more in charge than you realize. You're in charge of yourself, your actions and reactions. You do you. You're going to be okay. Keep going.
And what about those unused potions?
Well, the point is, that's gaming terminology. So, when you're doing a video game and you got to some level, you acquired some gem or some potion, and you don't manage to use it when you're run out of lives in the game, you're sort of like, dang, wait a minute, but I had the magic potion. I had the invisible potion. I had the extra life potion. Why didn't I use those things? Oh, because you were waiting for a better time. Well, there may not be a better time. Why is there a better time than now?
It's sort of that conditional happiness. When I get this, when I get that,
right.
then I will be happy or satisfied. And you're saying use the get out of jail free card. I'm to the older folks, those of us who play Monopoly, because I didn't know the gaming terminology, which is I'm probably dating myself, but in essence, that's what it is, right?
That's what it is. And to the older folks, I will say, Lisa, I wrote this book for 18 to 34-year-olds, millennials who coined the term, don't know how to adult, don't want to adult, but also Gen Zs. But older folks have read it and they've said to me, I know you didn't write this for me, but I see myself in your turn. And I'm like, yeah, here's why. It's just a book that's like a mirror. You read it and you'll see yourself where you need to.
Julie, will you be like my surrogate mom?
Surrogate sister who loves you.
Sister,
and
yes.
With you, because I don't have all the, implicit in this is there are no answers. No one has all the answers. It's a way of being, a way of thinking, a way of holding grace for ourselves to be imperfect and to be curious. I think curiosity, humility, grace, and hard work. Work hard, but also cut yourself some slack when things go wrong.
Yeah.
Yes, I will definitely be whomever you want me to be.
Well,
Friendship is so important. We need it more than ever.
We need it more than ever. And, showing up here, with a full heart and laughing at the process of the practice and ourselves. And it just feels really good. So thank you for spending part of your day with me. It's always a pleasure. And we're talking today about your turn, how to be an adult. My guest has been Julie Lythcott-Haims. And to learn more, I'm going to give you the website and all those social handles. It's julielythcotthaims.com. And you can find Julie on social media. It's a bit of a foreshortening of her name. It's JLYTHCOTTHAIMS on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Julie, always a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thanks to you and to everyone who listened, and to those who listen, whatever came up as Lisa and I talked, notice it. That's a clue from you to you that we said something that matters.
This is Lisa Cypers-Kamen on behalf of my guest, Julie Lythcott-Haims, wishing you kind thoughts, kinder words, and the kindest of actions. Until next time, remember, happiness is an inside job. Happiness is your inside job. Please go out and rock your day, and remember to be kind to one another. Want to take a deeper dive into sound ideas for better well-being? Check out our new bonus edition content, More Mental Fitness by Harvesting Happiness, available exclusively on Medium and Substack. Keep harvesting your own happiness anytime, anywhere from the comfort of wherever you are. Subscribe, listen, and share hundreds of downloadable episodes from wherever you get your podcasts. Connect with and follow us on most social media channels. To learn more about lifestyle management and mental fitness consulting services, please visit harvestinghappiness.com. Harvesting Happiness and More Mental Fitness are produced by me, Lisa Cypers-Kamen, Andrea Mengele, Robin Boyd, Andrea Daly, and the awesome team at Podfly Productions, including Eric Begay, Kimberly Beck, and Alec Guess, in collaboration with TogiNet Radio, KBUU, RadioMalibu.net, and is available on PRX, the Public Radio Exchange.